Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Friday, February 21, 25 BESE meeting. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Appel, not present. Dr. Armstrong, not present. Mr. Birkin? Here. Mr. Castile, not present. Ms. Champagne? Here. Dr. Clark? Here. Mr. Harris? Here. Mr. Hollis? Here. Ms. Holloway? Here. Ms. Mellerine? Here. Mr. Morris?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I realize there are some folks that don't routinely attend this meeting, so I just want to go through our protocol so everyone's familiar with how the meeting proceeds. We are here today to conduct a public hearing concerning the reconstitution of the Board of Directors for Education Explosion, operating Impact Charter School, a Type 2 charter school in East Baton Rouge Parish, pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 17-39992D and Bulletin 126. Members of the audience wishing to provide public comments regarding the agenda item listed on the published agenda must complete a public comment card. Individuals who sign public comment cards and wishing to provide verbal testimony will be allowed up to 3 minutes to provide comments. Designated individuals from groups or organizations will be allowed up to 5 minutes to provide public comments. Transferring time to another individual is not permitted. Please note those wishing to speak may only make public comments concerning the reconstitution of the Board of Directors for Education Explosion, Inc. No other public comments will be received at this time. While an opportunity for public response from Education Explosion will be provided for the board's consideration, no board discussion will occur in response to the statements. We're only here to receive their statement during the public hearing. The order in which we will proceed this morning will be as follows. We'll start with a statement from the State Superintendent. That'll be followed by a statement from myself serving as BESE President. Then we'll have an opportunity for public response from the Education Explosion, and then that'll be followed by public comment period. First item, please.
First item on the agenda is item 2.1, approval of the agenda.
Can I have a motion to open the public hearing? Mr. Birkin? Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, and I need a second. Mr. Birkin? Thank you.
Yeah, you did call him twice.
Yeah. No, sorry, I need a motion to open the hearing. I got Mr. Birkin, right? Simone is my second. Thank you. And Dr. Brumley, you want to kick us off?
We got one public comment. 2.1. You gotta take that first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I understand that we have a public comment on the agenda. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. Dr. James Finney.
Thank you. James Finney, resident of Baton Rouge. I'm glad that you noticed that your agenda includes approval of the agenda as an item, which would suggest you need to vote on that before you move on to the public hearing. The agenda is confusing. It says consideration of holding the public hearing. It's not advertised as a public hearing, so I'm not sure that what's going to happen today actually is a legal public hearing. But to be honest, I didn't know about this meeting since last night, so I haven't done a lot of research. But my main point is reconstituting the board may be necessary, but it's hardly sufficient. What needs to be on your agenda, if not today, then very soon, is reversing your mistake when you gave Impact Charter another 6 years to take money from the public and use it for whatever purposes it gets used for, which should be better spent in the hands of publicly elected school boards in East Baton Rouge and Baker. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Walker, do we need to make any adjustments based on Dr. Finney's comments?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Superintendent Brumley.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. I just want to call out the fact that it is truly an honor to be able to serve on a board of education, whether it's in the traditional public system or the public charter sector. We have, over Well, we have hundreds of individuals across the state of Louisiana that give of their time to serve in this role and contribute and give back to their communities and to serve children, educators, and families and their communities at large. And we are thankful across the state of Louisiana for individuals serving in that capacity. However, with that role, there are opportunities to celebrate successes, and we try to promote that as much as possible here from the department. I know BESE does as well, but there's also a tremendous amount of responsibility when one chooses to serve on a board in the sector of education. Members must comply with and carry out all applicable federal and state laws and policies governing the school. They must carry out provisions of a charter school contract in the instance of a charter school. They must uphold generally accepted accounting standards of fiscal management. And when any of these core responsibilities are not being met, as an authorizer, BESE has an obligation to take action. And unfortunately, that's why we are here today. Mr. Morris, that concludes my comments. I appreciate BESE coming together today to consider this item, and I turn this back over to you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Next item, please.
Next item on the agenda is under new business, item 3.1, consideration of holding a public hearing concerning the reconstitution of the Board of Directors for Education Explosion, Inc., pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute, Title 17, Section 3992D, and Bulletin 126 Charter School Laws.
Thank you. Yeah, can I get a motion, please? Ms. Holloway, and a second, Mr. Harris. Thank you. I'd like to follow up to Dr. Brumley's comments to provide some background for how we got here today as a board. So pursuant to Bulletin 126, Charter Schools Section 2105, as Impact Charter Schools authorizer, BESE is responsible for ensuring Impact Charter utilizes sound accounting and financial principles that are aligned with generally accepted standards. Furthermore, pursuant to Louisiana Resolution 173992, a charter may be revoked upon failure to meet generally accepted accounting standards of fiscal management. Or, as an alternative, BESE may reconstitute a governing board. The action taken is based on factors including the best interest of our students and at the school and the severity of the violation. Recognizing our responsibility, BESE initiated a review to determine if Impact Charter was compliant with applicable law and policy and whether appropriate action was necessary. On February 7th, 2005, BESE extended an invitation to the Impact Charter Board officers and their legal representative to meet on February 10th, 2025. However, only the legal representatives attended. On February 10th, BESE sent a records request to the Charter Board through their attorney. Pursuant to Section 2.221 of the Charter Contract, the Charter Board is required to comply with BESE records requests within 3 days of the request. The following information was requested: any and all documentation, communications, files, and etc. that were relied upon, utilized, exchanged, or shared with the board in preparation of the first board meeting in January of 2025. This was not provided to BESE. Also requested any and all meeting notices, meeting minutes, board packets, or backup documentation, and meeting audio-visual recordings from the first board meeting in January 2025. Only the meeting agenda and minutes were provided. All other requested items, meeting notices, board packets, or backup documentation, meeting recordings, were not provided as requested by BESE. Also requested the complete internal investigation file referenced on the January 27, 2025 agenda, with written summaries and all relied upon documentation used to complete the investigation, to include interview notes, records reviewed, or any documentation provided by any source used to complete the investigation. None of this was provided to BESE. On February 11, 2025, BESE sent a second records request for the Charter Board's bylaws and related documents. This was not provided to BESE. On February 17, 2025, BESE held a second meeting, having extended an invitation to all Charter Board members. 4 Charter Board members attended this meeting. However, the Finance Chair could not be located for either meeting. On February 18, 2025, BESE sent a third records request for the following: the bylaws and all corporation documents of Education Explosion. This was requested via a letter emailed on February 11, 2025, and via a verbal request on February 17, 2025. This was not provided to BESE. The employment contract of the CEO of Education Explosion was requested via a verbal request on February 17, 2025. This was not provided to BESE. The entire internal investigation file and report, requested via a letter emailed on February 10, 2025, and via a verbal request on February 17, 2025. This was not provided to BESE. The listing of all board committees and members assigned to the respective committees was requested via a verbal request on February 17, 2025. This was not provided to BESE. A copy of the organizational chart of Education Explosion and Impact Charter School. This was not provided to BESE. And a copy of all contracts that exceeded $29,999.99 that would require the board's approval between 2020 and present. This was not provided to BESE. As of today, these records requests have not been received in accordance with the 3-day requirement in Section 2.22.1 of the Charter Contract. Based on BESE's review, the Charter Board failed to meet generally accepted accounting standards of fiscal management by failing to maintain active membership, failing to implement a process for fiscal oversight, and failing to establish opportunities for meetings to enact sound fiscal oversight activities. Furthermore, the Charter Board failed to produce reasonably accessible existing documents within 3 days on 3 separate occasions, violating 2.22.1 of their charter contract. Lastly, the Charter Board failed to adhere to open meetings law as evidenced by their agenda, supporting documentation of board minutes and links for public viewing of meetings, not posted on the school's website. As Louisiana's governing board for K-12 education, BESE has a statutory obligation to students, educators, and taxpayers of Louisiana to exercise budgetary and fiscal control over state and federal funds for educational programs and services. At this time, I'd like to invite the Charter Board representatives to the table to provide any information you feel would be helpful for BESE members to consider the path forward for Impact Charter.
Members, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. President, good morning. BESE members, educators, and community, I sit before you today to speak on behalf of the Board of Impact Charter School, a school that has become a beacon of hope in Baker, Louisiana.
Excuse me, if you would start out, identify yourself and the organization you're related to. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I'm Eugene Collins. I am on the Board of Directors at Impact Charter School.
And could you help us, do you have any specific role on that board?
No, I'm actually one of the newest board members.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I sit here before you today to speak on behalf of Impact Charter School, a school that has become a beacon of hope in Baker, Louisiana, a city where too many children have been left behind by a failing education system. Before we dive into the policies and budgets that I'm going to get here to today, Let me tell you the story of Dr. Shakisha Scott. Let me humanize her for a second. A woman of vision, determination, and unwavering commitment to our children. A woman that once took out a loan on her house to get this school started. Dr. Scott didn't start this school because it was easy. She didn't wake up one morning and say, let me build the charter school because the road will be smooth. No, she started Impact Charter because she saw a need. She saw children in Baker and North Baton Rouge being failed by a system that didn't see them, didn't invest in them, and didn't believe in them. She fought through red tape, financial obstacles, and political resistance to build this school from the ground up. And I ask you, what did she build? In its core essence, she built a B-rated school in a district where struggling schools are the norm. She built a school that received national recognition from U.S. News and World Report 2 years in a row. She built a school that was recognized 5 times by the Louisiana Department of Education for exceptional gains. She built a school that works. So I ask y'all today, why dismantle the board of a school that is succeeding where so many others have failed? Why would you strip the leadership of a school that is proving every single day that black and brown children in Baker will excel when given the right environment? But let me take a second and address the elephant in the room that was just mentioned in the minutes. We acknowledge that Monday's meeting was not our finest moment. We have room for great improvement. We will not sit here and pretend otherwise. The board was caught off guard. They were expected to recall operational details on the spot without having the necessary documents in front of them. And yes, there were certainly moments of confusion. But let's be clear. A single meeting does not define the competencies of this board of this school. This is the same board that loaned money to hire secretaries. This is not a failing school. This is not a school mismanaging funds. This is not a school where children are being neglected. This is a well-run, financially sound, academically strong school that is meeting its mission. We are actively addressing the board concerns by seeking a deputy superintendent to alleviate some of Dr. Scott's operational load, strengthening board committees to ensure that expertise is utilized efficiently, engaging in additional board training, not because we are incompetent, but because we are committed to continuous improvement. But let's be real. If governance concerns were truly the issue, why not work with us more? Why not provide us additional support? Why not come help us? Reconstitution is not the answer, it's a punishment. A charter school board, is not responsible for daily operations. We are responsible for oversight, governance, and accountability. The questions directed at our board on Monday were questions that should have probably been directed at the school's administrative leadership. The board's job is to ensure policies are followed, budgets are sound, and the leadership is held accountable, which we did. My very first motion on this board was to put Dr. Scott on leave until an internal investigation was complete. We have passed with clean audits for 9 years with no findings. We have maintained strong financial solvency with a responsible reserve fund. We have ensured that Impact Charter meets all academic compliance requirements. So again, I ask, if this is not a well-run school, why are we seemingly being singled out? Let's talk about the facts for a second. Impact Charter is a B-rated school. We serve over 450 students. The majority of them whom are black come from low-income families. Our students are outperforming many other schools in the district. We are doing what so many schools in struggling districts have failed to do. We've seen other charter schools with financial and academic concerns receive renewals without hesitation. We've seen schools with documented governance issues given support instead of reconstitution. GeoPrep was given opportunities for improvement. I ask the same here today for Impact Charter. If we are truly concerned about governance, work with us. Offer the same resources and support that you've given others. But do not attempt to destabilize a culture in a school that is proving every single day that black excellence is real, that black children in Baker can achieve, and that a black-led charter school can thrive. Let's talk about our budget for a second, because we want absolute transparency. With over a total revenue of $6.6 million, total expenditures of $7.5 million, employee salaries and benefits of $4 million, 53.6% of the budget. Board reserves are responsible and within state guidelines. We operate under the highest financial accountability standards. We comply with Louisiana's Local Government Budget Act. And let's be clear, Impact Charter is not in financial distress. If this is about governance, help us strengthen it. But do not dismantle something that is working. You have a decision to make today. You can either uphold fairness and transparency, supporting a school that is meeting expectations, or set a dangerous precedent where any high-performing charter school can be taken over, not because of failure, but because of politics. We're not asking for a pass. I sat here and acknowledged our mistakes. We're asking for fairness. We're not asking for you to ignore the improvements that we most certainly need to make. We're asking for help. We're asking for you to come to our board meetings and sit and see where we need improvements. We're asking for you to give us the same grace, the same opportunity, the same fairness that has been given to other schools. Impact Charter is not just a school. It is a lifeline of children that otherwise would have probably been left behind. We built a culture of success, of excellence, of possibility, and we refuse to allow that culture to be destroyed. It does not make sense to dismantle the board of a B-rated school that's black-led, that's high-performing, in a community that absolutely needs it the most. Give us the same opportunity that others receive. Give us the same grace that Geo Prep was granted. Give us the same fairness that our children deserve. Don't take us apart. I ask you to come help us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, do we have any public comment? So we have one public comment. Dr. Finney, looks like you're up again.
Thank you. It was generous of Mr. Collins, who's been on the board for less than 2 months, to come and attempt to defend the very worst charter organization I have ever had the unfortunate opportunity of trying to work with. Anybody that's heard me speak here very often knows that I object to charters as a matter of principle. Every single other charter board I've attended meetings of, done public records requests again, I have been treated courteously. Impact Charter has, for years, been openly, actively, aggressively hostile to open meetings law, public records law, and the code of ethics. If BESE allows them to get away with that, then BESE may as well just open the doors to the taxpayers' vaults and let anybody come in and grab what they want. The Department of Education has failed in their duties to oversee what's going on at Impact. I have email records where I have made complaints about failures to oversee what's going on. I just learned apparently there was a meeting of the board of Impact Charter on Monday. That's not visible anywhere on their website. That is outrageous.
That's not true.
They violated public records law with respect to records that I've requested. I've came as close to suing them as I have any other organization other than the Department of Education. They made me go through the hoops of going to a downtown law office, and after some negotiation discussion allowing me to scan some printed material that should have been emailed to me, could have been emailed to me. Their objective is to prevent the public from seeing what's going on. And it's clear from the legislative auditor's report why they're hostile to the public understanding what's going on. You have a duty to protect the funds of the taxpayers of Louisiana through the MFP, and particularly the taxes that are paid by the residents of the Baker and East Baton Rouge and other neighboring school districts whose budgets are affected by the existence of this school. If you aren't going to oversee this, this board, which clearly Dr. Brumley or his subordinates are not willing or able to do, based on my experience, and you can't trust the board to police what's going on, then you have an obligation to disband the charter and put somebody in there that will keep the damage to the children between now and the end of the school year minimized. But this can't go on. They are aggressively hostile to having the public attend their meetings. They either don't understand or conveniently pretend to not understand what the laws are. I mentioned briefly the ethics code. There was an ethics violation noted, and I think there was a fine paid to the ethics board with regard to Shakisha Scott being the supervisor of Eric Scott, to whom she is married. There was a plan to mitigate that. I later asked for evidence that that plan had been followed. I was provided no evidence. You've submitted public records requests that were ignored. I challenge you to, along with everything else, sue the board so that the public records law continues to have teeth as much as the governor wishes we didn't have a public records law. So please, I beg of you, do your job. This is absolutely the worst charter organization I have encountered. Several others have issues. This is the worst. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have one other comment. Dr. Eric Jones poses the recommendation, wishes to speak. Dr. Jones?
Good morning. Dr. Eric Jones, Administrator at Impact. Can you guys hear me?
Might want to give you a little bit of help there. There you go.
Thank you. Just want to take a moment just to reflect on what the board chair mentioned in terms of his facts based on what he was denied to receive or what this body was denied to receive. And secondly, to thank this voluntarily board that has served on with Ed Explosion and has done great work, and to scrutinize people who just volunteer, to scrutinize people and make people feel like they're incompetent when it's a non-paying job, countless hours that are being spent to serve on these boards, and to publicly scrutinize a board that came to a Monday meeting, just unexpected, makes those individuals feel like even the commitment they make to serve a body and to represent the good of children in this community is an insult to people who just commit to it. And I think the superintendent, you said it best, when, this is a body that people who want to serve, we want to acknowledge them serving. We want to make sure that we value and appreciate that. But to scrutinize them, it's almost like they went to a grand jury to be drilled like that, to be even accused of that, publicly accused of that. It's just, to me, it's not fair. And the other thing I want to share is, even to this new law, even to decide or determine how this is going to work, who picks the board, how the board is picked, who are the stakeholders, what does that look like, does individuals have opportunity as it relates to stakeholders as parents, community folk, what would be their role, what would be the teacher's role in that space. Like, none of that's being stated, and this new law came about, we all know, for whatever their purpose and reasons is, but the fact of the matter is the board has not even had an opportunity to even process what this new law looks like. they don't even have, in any boards, to be fair, haven't even an opportunity to even process that. But to scrutinize people who are committed to what they've done, who's volunteered to serve, is just unfair and unjust. And I asked this board, I sincerely asked this board, and some of these board members know my reputation in terms of, how I may respond or react. But it's just unprecedented to treat a body of people who are committed to do that. And these are two separate entities. This board that we're talking about sitting here today did not commit any crime. This board that's sitting here today is not accused of anything. This board that's sitting here today have asked this body to put a system in place, asked this body to provide adequate resources. This board that's sitting here today are saying that they want to be transparent. But to scrutinize them based on another entity that doesn't even relate to this body, this board was not charged with anything. It was an individual that was allegedly, because legislative audit stated they have no evidence other than allegedly stating that. So I disagree with all of the gentlemen who came before me. I disagree with what was stated today from the chair. I'm just asking you guys to reconsider your thought process, or have you considered even what that process looks like, because that's not what we were told, or even being told that today. We're just being told that how bad a board is. So I ask and I humbly ask that you reconsider and at least give this board an opportunity to do what they came on board to do. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other comments, Mr. Walker? I thought I saw one more person filling out a comment card. Okay. I think we closed out public comments then. So hearing none, members, what's your pleasure?
Turn your mic on.
I have a motion, Mr. Chair.
Simone, go ahead.
Thank you. I motion that the Louisiana Board of
I don't-
Elementary...
Is your mic on? It is? Okay.
Yes. Maybe I should need this one. Thank you. Thank you. Members, I motion that the Louisiana State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, BESE, the charter authorizer of Education Explosion Incorporated, operating Impact Charter School, a Type 2 charter school in East Baton Rouge Parish, finds that the school has committed multiple infractions as outlined in Title 8, Part 139, Bulletin 126, Charter School Section 2105. Further, BESE reconstitutes the Board of Directors and appoints the following LDOE recommended members to the Board of Directors, as outlined in Title 28, Part 139, Bulletin 126, Charter School Section 2105, effective February 21st, 2025. They are Dr. Perry Daniel, Marguerite Mack, Mickey Matthews, Verisha Perkins, Achilles Williams, Dr. Torrance Williams, and Mr. Willie Williams, Jr. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do I have a second? Mr. Birkin? Is there any comment, members?
Mr. Morris.
I'm sorry, Superintendent?
One comment. I just want to point out and clarify, we're referencing Title 28 here. It's Title 28. And also, just in reference to these board members, the department will be asking that these board members consent to a criminal background check within 1 month. And if there is anything there that would prevent a teacher from not being able to work in the school, we would then seek for those individuals to no longer be on the board as well, just as an additional precaution.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Any other member comment? Dr. Clark?
Just to be transparent, Ms. Champagne, can you tell me 2105, which ones did you call out?
I'm sorry, 2105?
Yes.
Yes.
What numbers did you call out?
Bulletin 126,
Okay.
Section 2105.
Okay. And did you call it any of those numbers that they listed, the reasons why under 2105?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I just wasn't sure about that. And my second question is, again, just to be, for transparency, the members that we're suggesting or appointing, they're coming to us from where?
These are various members of the greater Baton Rouge community that we believe hold the potential to provide strong governance to this particular board, sourced from a number of various sources.
Is there any further comment? All right, let's go ahead and I want to ask for a roll call vote on this one.
Mr. Appel is not present. Dr. Armstrong is not present. Mr. Birkin? Yes. Yes. Mr. Castile is not present. Ms. Champagne?
Yes.
Yes. Dr. Clark? Yes. Mr. Harris? Yes. Mr. Hollis? Yes. Ms. Holloway? Yes. Ms. Mellering? Yes. Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our agenda for today.
Thank you.